This video is all about transcending the ego. In particular, I'm going to lay it out step by step exactly why getting what you want in your life is only going to make you more miserable over the long term. It's a big claim, but by the end of this video, you'll see it. I am Brent Phillips. I am the founder and creator of the awakening dynamic system of energy healing and higher consciousness. And this is video number 5 of 7 in our series on transcending the ego. And so one thing I've claimed in the earlier videos is that if you got to live your life exactly the way you think you wanted, you'd probably be way more miserable than you are right now. And that is a big claim. So I want to talk through that and show you exactly why that's true. Because I don't want you to believe any of this because I say it. That's silly. I want you to believe it because you've seen it for yourself and you know that it's true. It'd be like, imagine talking to an alien that had always lived in outer space and never experienced gravity. And you would say to them, hey guys, if you come down to Earth, just be ready for the gravity. If you throw something in the air, it'll drop back down. And they would go, no, that seems ridiculous. If you throw something in the air, it just keeps going up. Why? They've lived in space their whole life. Are you going to argue with them? Of course not. You're going to say, hey guys, come to Earth, throw something in the air, see what happens. Don't believe me just because I say it. Have your own experience. That's what I encourage you to do. Don't believe anything I'm saying here just because I say it. That's silly. It's irresponsible. Take it as a possibility, then have your own experience and see what happens. I want you to see for yourself that this is true through your own experience. Sound good? Awesome. To help understand why the ego is limited and why getting what you want will probably make you miserable, I want to pull a metaphor that I love from the world of computer algorithms. And don't worry, there's nothing nerdy or geeky about this. And so let's imagine you are building a robot. And this robot is happy when it's at a higher elevation. I know it's a little contrived, but you'll see why this really works. And so you build this robot and you turn it on and you need to program it with some kind of algorithm. In other words, the process you're going to apply to get to the highest elevation. So here's the trouble. The robot does not know about the whole Earth. It doesn't know about Mount Everest or any of that stuff, right? All it knows is what it can see in the 5 feet around it. So to give it a very simple algorithm to get to the highest elevation, you might do this. Your robot looks around everything it can see, right, 5 feet around it, and you find the highest elevation within that 5 feet, and you go there, and then repeat. That's a good start, right? You can only see 5 feet, so you go to the highest spot you can find, and you stop and you repeat. You look around within 5 feet, find the highest spot, and repeat. That's how most of us live our lives. The reason I chose that 5 feet is your robot has very limited information about the Earth. All it knows is what's right around it. It has no idea what's 10 feet away or in the next city or over the horizon. It has no idea that the highest elevation on Earth is the top of Mount Everest. So the best it can do is look around, find the highest spot, go there, and repeat. So let's say that you turn on your robot in your living room. What's going to happen? It'll run around for a while. It'll probably go up the stairs, right? And end up standing on the roof. That's what's going to happen. But then what? Well, once your robot is standing on the roof of your home, there's no spot within 5 feet that's at a higher elevation. So it gets stuck there. In the study of algorithms, they call this a local maximum. Are there higher places to go to? Of course. there's a big tree at the end of the street that's much taller than your house. If you could climb that tree, you'd be at a much better place. Even better, you could drive to downtown and there's a skyscraper. You could go stand on the roof of the skyscraper, and that's way higher up than your house or the tree, right? Even better, you could drive to the local mountain range, climb to the top of the biggest mountain. Now you're up way higher than you were even on the skyscraper, right? And ultimately, the global maximum would be sitting at the peak of Mount Everest. But you'll never get there if you're stuck on your roof. And so, if you really love your robot and you really want it to get to the highest elevation it can, you don't let it stay stuck on the roof. Instead, you go kick its ass, drag it down the stairs, and throw it into the street. And you're like, oh my God, Brent, robot abuse. Well, no. What happens is now the robot has been dragged away from its local maximum. And if it's like most people, it'll start bitching and whining and complaining. Oh God, this is terrible. Why'd you drag me down here? I was so much happier on the roof. Why am I in the gutter? Oh God, this is terrible, right? But the robot, once it gets over its little temper tantrum, runs the algorithm again. It looks around everywhere it can see, finds the highest spot, it goes there and repeats. And so what's going to happen? Well, eventually the robot will find that tall tree at the end of your street, climb to the top, and be all, wow, oh my gosh, this is so much better than the rooftop. Wow, this is amazing. But remember, it kicked and screamed and whined when you dragged it off the rooftop and threw it into the street, right? Why is that? It's because you love your robot. If you left it on the rooftop, it would never get any higher. So you dragged it backwards and let it try again, and it got to a better place. And then we repeat. So because you love your robot so much and you want it to be happy, you're not going to let it get stuck at the top of the tree. You're going to climb the tree, kick the robot's ass, drag it down, and throw it back into the street and let it continue. Why? Well, now it's going to search around until it finds that skyscraper downtown. And after some period of time, the robot will be on top of the skyscraper. And it's going to say, wow, this is so much better than the tree or the house. I'm up so high. This is great. So I hope you all see where this is going, right? That this is your life. The divine, your soul, God, creator, however you want to think about that, loves you so much, it won't let you get stuck in a local maximum. What is the local maximum for your life? Simple. It's what your ego wants. Remember, your ego only has very limited information. It only knows a tiny bit about the truth of this universe. That just like the robot could only see 5 feet around it, your ego only has a very tiny bit of information about the universe. It can only see a little bit. And based on that little bit it sees, it forms an opinion of the best place to be based on what it knows. So when the robot is standing on your roof, it can't see a higher place. And it just stays stuck there forever. It can never be happier. And our life is the same. All these things we think we want, love, money, health, long life, success, there's nothing wrong with any of it. So when you live from the ego, you only have a very limited amount of information. And you're choosing the best spot to go to based on that limited information. And so what will happen is your soul, God, the divine creator, however you think about that, loves you so much, it will not let you get stuck. And sometimes you have to be dragged backwards to take a step forward. It's that old saying, you got to take 2 steps back before you take 3 steps forward, right? So just like the robot stuck on its roof, if you really love that robot, you're going to go kick its ass, drag it down the stairs, throw it into the street so it can find a better place. And so when we live from the ego, we're taking this very limited amount of information and deciding this is the best place to be in my life and insisting that it's the best place. Well, what you don't realize is there's other places that are way better, right? Just like the robot stuck on your roof has no idea of the skyscraper downtown. It has no idea about Mount Everest. And that robot's probably going to be really upset and throwing a tantrum when it gets dragged backwards. So when things don't go your way in life, that's what's happening. The divine, your soul, your higher self, however you want to think about that, loves you so much it will not let you get stuck at a local maximum. And it must sometimes drag you backwards, away from what you thought was the best thing, to take you to somewhere better. And this is why I made the claim that if you got everything in your life exactly the way you wanted it, you'd be way more miserable than you are now. Why? You'd be stuck forever at a relatively low local maximum. How do we get past this? It's actually really simple. One of the most important things to transcend the ego is to recognize it is extremely limited. Your mind does not know what's best for you only because it doesn't know enough, right? Just like the robot stuck on the roof. It has no idea that there was a Mount Everest that's way higher than where you're at now. But the way life works, you can't just go up all the time. Sometimes you have to go back. And we also want to remember that the divine thinks long-term. And whether you believe in reincarnation or heaven or hell, that's up to you, right? Believe whatever you like. But what we found is there's enormous evidence, overwhelming evidence for some kind of reincarnation. And so will the divine send you backwards for half a lifetime to move ahead in the next one? Yes. So see all your setbacks, your pain, your defeat, your losses. That's getting dragged down the stairs and being thrown into the street. It's not what you wanted. It's not where you think the best place to be is. But it's absolutely necessary to get to a far better place than you could have even imagined was possible. That's what I want you to take away. And so I would love to hear from everyone watching these videos. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. My question for you that I'd love you to answer is this. Have you experienced this in your life? Have you really wanted something, been moving towards it, and then you get dragged away and you lose it and you're upset? Oh my God, my life sucks. I didn't get what I wanted. But then over time, you found out it was for the best. So for example, I had one of my friends, he was a computer programmer like me. And when my video game company had to shut down, he was trying to get a job at another big game company at Activision. And he had applied at Activision. And he was rejected. And he was really upset because it was the only game company around LA at the moment that was hiring. And he was really unhappy. My life sucks. I don't get to do games, blah, 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 right? Well, it turned out that about a month later, there was a company in Austin, Texas, that was hiring video game developers. And they offered him a job at a much higher salary. And he ended up moving to Austin, and he loved it more than he did LA. It's not going to work for everyone, right? But that's the kind of thing that happens. We get a momentary setback. We don't get the thing we want, right? Maybe you're really in love with someone, and you're crushed when they decide to marry someone else. Then it turns out that they're a serial killer and they murder their husband or their wife. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I dodged that bullet, right? That's what I want you all to see. That's what I want you to hear. This helps us to take the defeats in stride. This is one of the insights that allows us to surrender the result, to stop being so attached. So if you buy cryptocurrency X thinking you're going to get rich and it goes to zero, don't panic. It doesn't mean you're not going to get rich. It just means that that process you thought you wanted wasn't actually best for you. It was leading you to a local maximum. And there's some far greater and grander vision of what's available to you that the universe had to kick your ass and drag you backwards. Like my buddy with a video game job. Had he gotten the job at Activision, he wouldn't have been looking, never would have found the way better job at the other company in Texas. And think about it. So that's what I'd love everyone to share. Has this happened in your life? Where there's something you really thought you wanted that you were sure of, fixated, and then you lost it or didn't get it, and you were crushed, bummed, depressed, whatever, only to find out later, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't get this thing I wanted because I got something better. So to finish up this video, first thing I want to say is if you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, right? If you want to learn more about me, come to one of my events, check out the links in the description, cool stuff. And I'll leave you with this. I remember when I was in college, in the early internet, I loved to learn about new music through the bulletin boards. And someone had posted something about a band I'd never heard of called Fate's Warning. Now, been one of my favorite bands for the last 35 years or whatever, right? But I had never heard of them before. And they said this: when you listen to Fate's Warning, it almost never takes you to where you think it's going to go, but it always takes you somewhere better. Beautiful, right? If you give it a chance, this is exactly what life is doing. Most of the time, life doesn't take you to exactly where you want it to go. But if you're willing to look at it long term, you'll find you always end up somewhere better. And these are some of the most essential keys to transcending the ego, processing failure and setbacks, and transcending the game of life. So you feel like a winner no matter what the score is. I'm going to wrap it up for right now. This is Brent Michael Phillips signing off. We'll be back soon with video number 6 in this series, where we're going to talk about the I thought and how the size of your I thought is a great way to measure how far you've gotten in transcending the ego. Until then, please take care and namaste.